Ideas take shape, thoughts find out, and every conversation explores beyond of thinking, beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. He is the Vice President of Operations of True Hope Canada and has a wealth of knowledge about health food industry in general. None other than Mr. David Stephan.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on, Daniel. It's a pleasure to be here.
Welcome, Mr. David, on Abstract Essay. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
For sure. Yeah, I've been with this organization called True Hope Canada for 22 years, where we've been helping people come off psychiatric medications, correct serious mental health conditions, get their brain health back, cognition increasing, stress resilience up, all by using powerful micronutrient supplementation that comes in its proper form and balance.
And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. David. Thank you. And today let's talk about how micronutrients treat brain disorders. So tell us, Mr. David. For decades, brain disorders have been treated primarily with pharmaceuticals. How does micronutrient approach fundamentally challenge this one pill for one ill model? And what does research say about this efficacy?
Awesome question. So when we take a look at the drug model first and foremost, people don't develop depression or anxiety or mania because they were lacking a psychiatric medication in their diet and that they needed more of that. I mean so it's a flawed model, unfortunately, and it's only a treatment model at best, where it's treating symptoms but never correcting the root of the situation. When we take a look at micronutrients and the impact that they have on the brain and body, they are fundamental nutrients that you absolutely need in order to thrive. And when you are deficient in any one of these nutrients, whether it be a vitamin, a mineral, amino acid, or omega fatty acid, all of which are essential to our very being, you will end up with dysfunction in the body that will then manifest as some form of disease. And so when we take a look at, let's say, the production of serotonin, you need things like iron, methylfolate, vitamin C, D, and B3 in order to convert the tryptophan into 5-hydroxytryptophan. And then you just need vitamin B6 in its activated form to then convert the 5-hydroxytryptophan into serotonin. So when you go to the doctor and you're depressed and they prescribe you a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor so as to increase the levels of serotonin that's available so as to prevent you from being depressed, it's not the solution. The solution is, how do we get you to produce serotonin naturally at the appropriate levels? And that is through proper nutrient supplementation that you are supposed to be getting out of your food, but you're not getting adequate levels of.
We hear this term often, Mr. David. Can you explain the specific mechanical pathway through which a micronutrient our food actually signal that change brain function, mood, or structure?
Okay, so what in particular are you looking for there in relation to the pathways?
Yes, please.
Okay, so traditionally how it's supposed to work is you go and consume food. It's nutrient rich. You get the nutrients out of the soil. And now when you consume that food, you're getting all of the various things you need: the calcium, the magnesium, the phosphorus, the copper, the zinc, selenium, boron. These are just a handful, but you're supposed to get all of the macro and micronutrients out of your food. And then your body is able to take those nutrients that are absolutely necessary in certain biochemical pathways, neurotransmitter pathways, and it's able to then incite enzyme reactions that would convert things like cholesterol and amino acids into the various hormones and neurotransmitters that your body needs in order to regulate and to communicate appropriately. So when we take a look at what's happening there, the research is actually identifying that by addressing the mineral deficiencies that are quite prevalent across Western society, that it is serving to be the biggest and most profound treatment in the field of mental health in actually correcting these conditions and allowing people to go back to living a normal life medication free.
Beyond a neuro statement or transmitters, while medicators often target serotonin or dopamine levels, how do micronutrients work on a deeper level, perhaps by reducing inflammation or supporting this energy or promoting neuroplasticity?
Yeah, there's so many elements to how the micronutrients are playing in the body. So when you talk about inflammation, yes, your body's going to be functioning at a higher level. It's going to be able to reduce inflammation better. But when we take a look at the direct influence that micronutrients will have on, let's say, dopamine levels or serotonin levels, when we take a look at those two neurotransmitter pathways, so I already communicated in essence, the serotonin pathway, that it starts off with tryptophan. And in order for the tryptophan to convert through an enzyme reaction requiring the tryptophan hydroxylase enzyme, you need iron, methylfolate, vitamin C, D, and B3. 5 specific nutrients to get the tryptophan to actually convert into the 5-hydroxytryptophan. And then all you need is vitamin B6 in its activated form, and it's converting into serotonin. So there you have 6 vitamins and minerals needed for that pathway to take tryptophan, an essential amino acid, and convert it into serotonin. Serotonin then will convert into melatonin. So now you're not only feeling better, you're sleeping better. Well, when we take a look at the dopamine pathway, it starts off rather than with L-tryptophan, it starts off with L-tyrosine. Now, L-tyrosine isn't an essential amino acid, but it comes from an essential amino acid called phenylalanine. And so your body will have already converted phenylalanine through an enzyme reaction requiring vitamins and minerals. Now you have L-tyrosine to work with. What the L-tyrosine needs to turn into L-dopa, which then turns into dopamine, is the exact same 6 nutrients, starting off with the first enzyme reaction being iron, methylfolate, vitamin C, D, B3. Gets to L-dopa. L-dopa just requires activated B6, so pyridoxine 5-phosphate. It converts from L-dopa into dopamine. Now, it doesn't just stop at dopamine. When you produce that dopamine, you can now introduce things like copper and vitamin C, and the dopamine will convert into norepinephrine, which then will convert into epinephrine. So we're talking about all sorts of different messenger molecules in the body that are absolutely crucial for maintaining functionality within your body. And as soon as you're not producing those, you end up in dysfunction. So that's the direct effect that vitamins and minerals will have working synergistically alongside essential amino acids to produce these various neurotransmitters.
Interesting, Mr. David. Interesting indeed. So, why is the combination of micronutrients in their natural ratios often more powerful than isolating the mega dosing a single vitamin like B12 or D?
Awesome question. There's a doctor, Dr. Abram Hoffer. He passed away, but he was helping to correct schizophrenia on a profound level by megadosing vitamin C and niacin. And he was doing a fairly good job with it. But it wasn't a holistic enough approach to really generate the results necessary, even though he was able to pull people out of these incredible situations. And the reason being is that when you take a look at how the body is working, everything works in synergy. Everything works together. And so when we start breaking down the various neurotransmitter pathways, hormone pathways, all the various biochemical pathways in the body, you're going to find an array of vitamins and minerals. And so if you're isolating and megadosing with, let's just say, B12 or maybe vitamin C or the niacin, it may have a significant impact, but it will never have the full impact if you're still deficient in other nutrients that are necessary for ensuring that those biochemical pathways are actually flowing, that everything is happening the way that it's supposed to. So when we take a look at how the approach that we've taken, there's two main aspects to it. Well, actually three. There's the combination of the 36 ingredients. In fact, we added glycine, which is an amino acid, so it makes for 37. You're going to see 37 on the label, and we just recently did that with this particular formulation. So we're working with a 36 or 37 different ingredients, depending on what version of this Empower Plus you're getting. And we put them into the proper balance. So things like calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, copper, and zinc. You have to maintain the proper balance. Otherwise, you'll actually create issues in the body. Now what we do is we then take those ingredients and we make sure that they're in the right form, that the body can actually assimilate them, put them to use. And that's done by micronizing the minerals and chelating the minerals, which is where you take these rock form minerals and you bind them to an organic molecule, like what happens in nature. So what you'd find in plants, that's the same type of mineral that you're finding in our supplement. And that's why it's able to actually produce the results that it does, is because it's in the proper form that your body can actually put to use in a very effective way without any of the negative side effects of consuming rock form minerals.
Well, Mr. David, it's something good to ponder, and on specific condition and mechanism, ADHD and stimulants. For a child or adult with ADHD, how can specific micronutrients potentially modulate the same neural pathway targeted by stimulant medications, but through a different nutritional mechanism?
Yeah, just by supplying them the proper nutrition to allow for their body to come into a state of homeostasis or balance. And we see this quite often. And this is where we ran into some issues initially in developing this product back in 1998, is that we had doctors saying, well, you know, how is it working for ADHD and working for anxiety and working for bipolar and depression? That doesn't make any sense, because those are all significantly different conditions where what's going on in the brain is different. Like one is on one end, you know, you have an elevated brain, let's say with anxiety and ADHD, it's overactive. And then in depression, like that's a completely different condition. So how is this working? Well, it's just feeding the body and the brain. And the body takes care of the complexities by simply getting the proper nutrients to where they need to go. So with our experience with ADHD, it's been actually quite phenomenal. There's a double-blind placebo-controlled trial that took place with the Empower Plus on adult ADHD, and phenomenal results. Some of the first studies coming out in the early 2000s were on children with ADHD. And once again, phenomenal results. We've seen in our own private practice and working with children as they're coming off the medications, they get onto the Empower Plus, they do a cross taper, that they not only get better, but they begin to thrive to a significant degree. So we've seen where children that are labeled as bad students, they're not thriving in school, they're doing very poorly academically wise. Now they go on to becoming top performing students. And we've seen that very often. It's not a rarity at all for us to hear that type of feedback where a mother is saying, hey, like I'm not getting the bad phone calls from school anymore. In fact, they're wondering what I did with my child because my child is performing. And that's a very common thing that we see.
Mr. David, as the Vice President of Operation of True Hope Canada, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Short-term, long-term goals is just to continue to bless people, because this whole discovery back in 1996 was a result of my own family going through some significant trauma, tragedy, loss. My mother took her own life in 1994. My grandfather took his life in the late 70s. I have 8 siblings that are from my mom and dad originally, and then I have step siblings and half siblings after that. But out of the 9 of us, we all suffered with severe mental health conditions. And this discovery that my father made back in 1996 has served to not only save our family, but it's been such a tremendous blessing in allowing us to thrive in life and to pursue our own goals and dreams. And so the short term and long term goals of True Hope in relation to what we're doing is to ultimately share this blessing with many, many more people, because it has been so radically life changing. And we want to share the same life changes that we've received with everyone around us.
Definitely, and good luck to your goals, Mr. David. And looking forward for more success and to help many people all over the world through your breakthrough. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
When you nourish your body and your brain and you nourish yourself spiritually as well, life becomes so much more beautiful. It really does, regardless of the turmoil that's around us. Oftentimes people will become a product of their circumstances, but it's amazing how we can become agents of change and influence our circumstances rather than being influenced by our circumstances, especially when we're empowered to do so by being properly nourished both spiritually and physically, and getting all the vitamins and minerals, amino acids, and omega fatty acids that you need is a crucial element in relation to making life a lot more meaningful and just being so much more healthy and vibrant.
Well, thank you for that advice, Mr. David. And what is the most dramatic or surprising recovery you've witnessed in a patient that was primarily driven by micronutrient intervention?
Wow, we have so many people that were in a revolving door situation with the psych wards, my sister included. There are so many stories like that. Just having people break through out of schizophrenia, where they're living in literally a different reality with hallucinations and all that, and all of a sudden they're going on to living a normal life. Those would be probably the most extreme stories that we have of radical transformation, where they literally went from living in one complete other reality that was destructive and they couldn't function, to all of a sudden they're functioning and they're pursuing their own dreams, and they're just a different person altogether. And based on the fact that they were starving for nutrition all along and we fed it to them, and they got better.
So, Mr. David, this micronutrient is for everybody, or there are certain people who will take it?
Everybody needs nutrition to thrive, and
Hmm.
everybody is deficient in nutrition in one way or another, some more so than others, given certain circumstances, especially in relation to gut health. But everybody can take this like a general multivitamin, but actually see the results from it. They can see improvements in cognition. They can see improvements in stress resilience, that they just approach everyday life differently, even if they didn't have a mental health condition. All this is a properly balanced and incredibly bioavailable multivitamin that's doing what multivitamins should be doing, and that's feeding the body and brain and allowing the body and brain to do what they need to do.
So, where do people can buy this product?
In Canada, you can go to just about any health food store throughout Western Canada, and you can purchase it there. And in Eastern Canada, it's getting more and more situated, but you can find it on truehopecanada.com. There's actually a location finder to find out where to buy it. And then in the United States and internationally, you go to truehope.com and you can order it direct from us there online. But in Canada, the most convenient way to get it is right from your health food store.
How can understanding the role of micronutrients empower to build more resilient brains from a young age and potentially prevent an onset of a certain disorders?
Yeah. So, first of all, the understanding of it is what changes our behaviors in making sure that we correct the issues that we're experiencing. So if everyone had the understanding that vitamins and minerals were absolutely essential alongside amino acids and essential fatty acids in allowing for us to have a healthy brain as well as a healthy body, then we would find ourselves making sure that we're buying food that's going to be more nutrient dense, that we're buying food from farmers that are making sure that the soils are getting the nutrients necessary so that those nutrients can uptake into the plants. And you would find that there would be a radical shift in relation to how we take care of ourselves dietary wise, because that's really what it comes down to. If we were able to go back in time 150 years and not compromise what took place in agriculture, where the model of quantity over quality was applied for far too long, if we were able to stop that, there would be no need for the bottle of pills that you see there, the Empower Plus, which would be a beautiful thing, because our food would be our medicine. Hippocrates said over 2,400 years ago, let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. And unfortunately, we're in a position today where food cannot serve to be our medicine because it is devoid of the ingredients necessary to allow for us to thrive. So a proper understanding of micronutrient supplementation and the fact that we need it in order to thrive, let alone survive, would absolutely change everything. It would change how we approach farming. It would approach how we went shopping at the grocery store, and it would ultimately change how we felt on a day-to-day basis.
Mr. David, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101, love letters, movie 101 review, music 101 are in fourth season, science 101, sex 101 in second season, and my baby podcast Law 101, Mental Health 101, and my Bible Verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. David, if you could get every clinician and every person suffering from a brain disorder to understand one single transformative idea about micronutrients, what would it be?
Well, if we were able to get every clinician out there and every doctor to shift over, and we have hundreds of doctors that we work with over the years, psychiatrists and whatnot, that have really changed their model of how they approach psychiatry. If we were able to get all of them to understand the power of nutrition and the necessity of nutrition, and that it's not a medication, but it's an essential ingredient that's necessary within our bodies to allow for us to produce the messenger molecules necessary to regulate everything in the bodies. If we were able to communicate that and have them move over, we would largely, and when I say largely, I mean like in the high 90 percentile, we would eliminate mental health conditions. And that would be a fantastic thing, because our world would literally change around us, and we'd actually become a lot more abundant in the fact that our medical system wouldn't be burdened with mental health care costs. And that would just be a lovely thing to see, because people would have the quality of life that they're looking for. We'd have a proper understanding of how the body works and what makes it thrive. And we would see the fruits of that when it's applied. And so that would be a beautiful thing to see, if every clinician and every doctor was able to understand that vitamins and minerals are absolutely essential in the production of neurotransmitters and hormones.
Well, Mr. David Stephenson or Stefan, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your breakthrough that help our people all over the world?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Everybody can thrive off the nutrients. If you want to support what we're doing, just purchase the supplements and feel the difference in your own life. And with those finances, we continue to move forward in this breakthrough and sharing it and ensuring that people understand that there's solutions out there for mental health conditions outside of the drug model.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. David Stephan, because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering breakthrough for mental health will rise. So, Mr. David, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate you having me on.
More to come, people. See you soon.